Well, good morning, everyone. And welcome to the Church of the River here in beautiful downtown Memphis, Tennessee. My name is Reverend Sam Tidal. I use he, him pronouns, and I have the delight of serving this congregation as minister. I invite you at this time to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, number 269 in your gray hymnal, Lo, the Day of Days is Here. Get started. We got started, but before we really kick it into an even higher gear, this morning we have child care and family ministry gatherings for children and youth of all ages from birth through 12th grade. Youth 6th through 12th grades gather at 11 a.m. in the youth room across the courtyard, while our younger children join us here for the beginning of the service. Any visiting youth who would like to are invited to join them now, and of course children of all ages are always welcome in the sanctuary. The nominating committee is seeking input from the congregation for future nominees to the Board of Trustees and future members of the nominating committee. If you would like to be considered as a nominee or suggest someone you believe would be a good nominee, please email as soon as possible to nominations@churchoftheriver.org. Nominees should have a broad interest in the church, have participated in church activities and stewardship, and have demonstrated leadership or willingness to take on responsibilities. Our ministerial intern, Monica Clark Robinson. Monica, wave your hand. We'll lead a series called Building Your Own Sacred Text. It begins on April 14th, but you can watch it via Zoom if you couldn't make the... Oh, it began on April 14th, but you can watch it via Zoom if you couldn't make the first session. There are 3 classes to follow at the Church of the River. For more information, contact Monica at intern@churchoftheriver.org. Do you have old cords and cables lying around the house? If you are spring cleaning and would like to get rid of them, Church of the River may be able to use them. For the specific types needed, check in with Debbie or Jackson Gilman. If you have, how many people here, let's be honest, have a Rubbermaid container full of old cords? Yeah, or a cardboard box, whatever you got. I convinced my wife to throw ours away, and then 2 weeks later she needed a cord that had been in the box. And I have not lived it down. So if you have cords, talk to Jackson, talk to Debbie. If you are a first-time visitor at Church of the River, we are delighted to have you. If you're interested in finding out more about our church, pick up a welcome visitor bag that Mike Schooler is holding up in the back. The credenza on your way out. And speaking of Mike Schooler, we have a very important piece of business to attend to. Mike, if you will join me up in the front. We need to honor Mike this morning. Mike is the winner of our Church of the River March Madness Bracket Challenge. So we present him with this certificate signed by me. Can we do the thing where I hand it to you when we shake hands and freeze and look ahead like we're...
Thank you, sir.
For more details on these and other Church of the River events and activities, scan the announcement QR code in your order of service, email info@churchoftheriver.org, or subscribe to our weekly mailing list. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Blue Sky. With no more announcements, our worship service will now continue. Let's all breathe. Let's take 3 big deep breaths. We gather and we give thanks for the bumps in the road, for the trials and tribulations, for the heartbreaks and the headaches. We gather and we give thanks for the not enough and the too much. We gather and we give thanks for the love and laughter, for the celebration, for the community. We give thanks for the moments of blessed togetherness and the moments of divine solitude. We gather and we give thanks for all of the moments in our lives that have led us to this place on this day, that we may come together and worship. Will you please join me in saying the chalice lighting words that are printed in your order of service? We light this chalice for the challenge of freedom, the goal of equality, and the warmth of community. May all who gather here offer and find the blessings of acceptance, loving kindness, and a grateful heart. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit to join in singing hymn number 276, one of my favorites, O Young and Fearless Prophet.
Serve you, man.
Jessica Lakeman, and I have the pleasure of serving as your acting director of Lifespan Faith Development here at the River, and I use she, her pronouns. Now this morning I have a story, and I wonder if there is anyone who would like to come and sit with me. It was one of those days, a lot of times I stand up, but I wanted to sit this morning so that I could have some friends come sit with me. Yeah, hi. Oh, thanks, Christopher. And let me be clear, it's the getting back up. I would say anyone of any age is welcome to come sit on the floor with me for our story this morning. Happy Easter, everyone. Today, as we know, is Easter Sunday. And for many people around the world, Easter is about one very important story about Jesus, who died and then came back to life. Well, I'm going to talk about it in a second. Now, here in our Unitarian Universalist congregation, we are a little bit different. Some of us believe in that story. Some find meaning in it, even if we don't believe every detail. And some come from entirely different traditions and backgrounds. And you know what? That's okay. And in fact, it's my favorite part about us. Because here we make space for many different beliefs. Because we know that love and hope speak to us in all kinds of different ways and from all kinds of different stories. And one of the biggest messages of Easter, one of us that so many of us can believe in, is this: that life is full of new beginnings, that hard things don't last forever, that even when things feel broken, something new can still grow, that joy returns, that love wins, and that we are always being given the chance to begin again. So now I know that for some people, the word resurrection might feel like something that belongs to others. Something tied only to the resurrection, the one with the big R. But resurrection doesn't have to mean only that. There is another way to think about it with a little r. The kind of resurrection that happens all the time in our lives. When someone is sick and then they begin to feel better. When a friendship is hurting and two people decide to forgive each other. When someone who is afraid finds their courage again. When someone who feels alone finds a community. When we mess up, but then we make it right. And when the world feels too heavy, but the sun still rises, that is resurrection too. I'll let you scroll it next time. And the thing about these little r resurrections is that they don't just happen by magic. They happen because someone chooses to care. Because someone believes that things can be different. And maybe that someone is us. So today, on Easter, we remember that there is always hope for resurrection. There is always hope for renewal, and there is always a chance to begin again. Even if the story doesn't look exactly like it used to. Even if we're not sure how it ends. We get to choose what kind of story we will help write next. And I think that that is pretty miraculous too. And there's one more way that we've already been practicing resurrection this year. Does anyone remember our backpack blessing? The blessing of the bags? I bet there are probably people even in here who might have that tag on their bag right now. I see Kim holding it up. One side of that tag says, "My faith is love." The other side, "Fear less, love more." As you took those tags and you tucked them onto your backpacks and purses and pencil cases, some of you may have just tucked it into your heart. But those words, the reminder to love even when it's hard, that's resurrection too. Because every time we choose to act from love instead of fear, every time we forgive or reach out to a friend, you don't like the dark. Every time we are brave, every time we grow, and every time we believe that tomorrow can be better, we are helping a new life to begin. You're so brave. So today, as we celebrate Easter and all of the little ways that we begin again, I want you to remember, you are part of the story. You are part of the hope. You are. And you are part of the resurrection. So before we bless our children and send them off to their classes, I would invite you into a brief Easter affirmation with me. If you'll just repeat after me, new life is always possible. When we begin again in love. Thank you, everyone, and happy Easter. Reverend Sam, will you lead us in blessing our children?
Grown-ups on count can get blessing hands in the air. And repeat after me as we bless our young people. You are beloved.
You are beloved.
You are sacred.
You are sacred.
You are powerful.
You are powerful.
Go in peace.
Go in peace.
Good morning. My name is this on? I think it is. Yes, great. My name is Monica Clark Robinson. My pronouns are she and her, and I serve as the ministerial intern here at Church of the River. Happy Easter. It is so good to see you all this morning. I'm going to switch around the order of the readings because I gave the order before I wrote the sermon completely, and then I wound up using the second reading a lot for my sermon. So I'm going to do the second one first. Yeah, so this is Easter Exultet by James Broughton. Shake out your qualms. Shake up your dreams. Deepen your roots. Extend your branches. Trust deep water and head for the open, even if your vision shipwrecks you. Quit your addiction to sneer and complain. Open a lookout. Dance on a brink. Run with your wildfire. You are closer to glory, leaping an abyss, than upholstering a rut. Not dawdling, not doubting, intrepid all the way. Walk toward clarity, At every crossroad, be prepared to bump into wonder. Only love prevails. En route to disaster, insist on canticles. Lift your ineffable out of the mundane. Nothing perishes, nothing survives, everything transforms. Honeymoon with big joy. Thank you so much, James, Debbie, and choir. That was truly beautiful. Now, the second reading is a longer one than we might normally do, but it was just too perfect not to share. This is The Humanist Speaks of Easter by Kendall Gibbons, and this is actually a selection from it. So, there are only two things that we know for sure. One, that they stashed Jesus' body in a tomb temporarily until they could get a chance to bury it properly. And when they came back, the tomb was empty. Make of that what you will. There are many possible explanations, some more likely than others. I don't believe that Jesus came back from the dead. Neither did Martin, neither did Malcolm. I don't believe that the crucifixion is a story with happy ending or that it was a one-time event. It happens over and over as the human journey unfolds. It happens to us. It happens to people we love. It happens to the righteous. Oh yes, and to the innocent. Crucifixion happens and it feels like the end of the world every time. It feels like nothing could matter anymore ever. And then, inevitably and miraculously, something happens next. Something happens. Of course it does. Because the world hasn't ended yet. It's not always an empty tomb. How trite would that be? Mostly, the beloved bodies just lie there peacefully decomposing. But something happens, and whether we want it to or not, a new chapter begins. Maybe the sun comes up, or the lilies do. Spring rolls around, that happens. Or memories come, or someone needs you. You eat food, that happens. You walk down the road and share a recollection. Life happens, keeps happening. The dead don't rise, but we do. One day it happens, you take a breath, and it doesn't hurt to breathe. You start to see people again, really see them. Hope rises, community rises, you rise, we rise, life rises. Not because death isn't real, crucifixion is not just pretend, but something else is just as real, maybe even more real. Something happens next. That is the other thing we know for sure. Life rises, outrage rises. Love rises, faith rises, tears rise, hope rises. This I do believe.
Let us pray. Spirit of life, divine mystery, gracious and loving God who we know by many names, who we encounter in many places and at many stages of our lives. Today we give thanks for the darkness of the tomb, because only after we have experienced the darkness of the tomb can we truly know resurrection. In this time of death and chaos and lies and hate, we gather, secure in the knowledge that death never wins in the end. We gather this day and we lay down our own pain and our grief and our losses. We lay these burdens down with the assurance that we will live to see resurrection manifested in our own lives, that the resurrection of our spirits and our hopes is not only possible, it is inevitable. This Easter, we hold each other close in the knowledge that life and love will always return, like spring, to embrace us in their light. We will now take a moment of silence for the silent prayers of our own hearts. Amen. So before we receive this morning's I still do that. The offertory is the piece of music, the offering is the act. Before we receive this morning's offering, part of what we're doing in this morning's offering is we are taking up a special collection for our participation in this year's Mid-South LGBTQ plus Pride Parade. Our congregation is going to march and have a booth in that parade. So if you see, it's a pink envelope. Can someone in the back hold up a pink envelope? We're looking. I'm being told to wait, told to stretch. There we go. So if you would like to make a contribution specifically to our sponsorship of Pride, you can put it in that pink envelope. And what we decided to do is for a couple weeks before the Pride Parade, we are going to offer, invite up members of our community here to offer testimony briefly about what being part of a congregation that participates in Pride means to them and why it is important that we all support this effort. So I would like to invite our own James Westerfield, who's going to come up and share a testimony.
Well, good morning, y'all. Happy Easter. Thank you. Well, you see how this happened today is last week there was a meeting happening. And I happened to be in that hallway being nosy. And someone looked out of that window and went. And so I walked out from the hallway in there, and they were just having a meeting. And I could have kept my mouth shut. But I didn't. And so here I am. Because I was volunteered abruptly when I was like, that's a good idea. You could talk about this thing from my life. And they're like, so you should. Here we are, right? So how many of you are married? Great. I am too. I have been married all of 4 months now, and I know everything, so you need to hear it. No. How many of you are married because you are in love? How many of you are in an arranged marriage? How many of you feel like you are? No. Excuse me. Sorry, this is not my comedy shtick. I will behave. How many of you got married because you didn't think you would be able to again in the next year if you didn't? Well, I did. And getting married because you won't be allowed to again is not the reason you want to go into it. But one of the things I have learned about marriage is that marriage is not always a fairy tale. And sometimes you have to work harder than you need to think that you do to make it work. And sometimes, like Rusty and myself, that means right from the get-go. But I didn't come here to tell you my sob story. I came here to put it into perspective. Many of you know I used to be a Presbyterian minister. I cannot tell you how many churches that I've been into that I was not welcome. I wasn't welcome when I was a preacher, and I'm still not welcome. Coming into a church where you can see flags like that in the back is weird to me. It's very strange to this day to walk into a church where I can be myself and don't have to lie, which means you can hate me for who I am, which is fine. I wouldn't have it any other way. But it's a whole new perspective when you know that you can be a person of faith and share your faith with others without being beaten with it. That's where things like these pride committees come in. When you show up to churches, you show people that are afraid of churches that not all churches are awful. Not all churches are filled with lying hypocrites. They are. But we all have our own crosses to bear on Easter Sunday, right? But at least the type of hypocrisy that I have seen is just normal human stuff, not the stuff that turns into laws that throws you behind bars. So as we go into this offering, I ask that you remember that we minorities can't make any huge difference by ourselves. And if those flags make you uncomfortable, but you can still be an ally, you're still welcome at my table. We can talk about your discomfort. I will walk you through whatever you need, but I can't do it alone. Part of it starts with these little envelopes, because these envelopes will pay for the Pride Committee to have pamphlets for vital resources in the area. We'll have stuff for kids to do so that people can see that churches aren't full of groomers, that gay people are safe to be around kids, because we're going to have face painting, a button making, I think it was, a button making thing for kids to do this year. I don't know. I asked for specifics and I've forgotten them already. Things that people warned me would happen after I turned 40 and didn't believe, but here we are. But put money in that envelope. That will help us get the word that you're safe to be around. But more importantly, without that money, don't worry about that. If you can't afford that, great. Show up. Show up. Give a gay person a hug. Give a trans person a hug. They need it right now. The world is not very nice, and neither am I. So it needs you to be nice for me, because I got no more in me. When you give generously and love honorably.
All right, thank you so much, James. So we are going to receive this morning's offering. I did it right. So the way that this works is you can scan the QR code that is in your order of service. You can send a text message to 901-350-2686. You can put cash or check in the purple velvet bags that will be passed amongst you momentarily. Another great way to support our congregation is to find us on social media. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share, leave us a comment. That does a lot to help us reach more people. And another great thing you can do is get your phone out right now, take a selfie with the person next to you, take a picture of our beautiful view, post it on your social media right now, tag Church of the River. That does a lot to help our congregation grow and reach more people. The offering for the care and sustenance of this congregation and its work will now be graciously given and received.
Good morning, good morning. Before I begin my sermon this morning, I've been asked to show you something that I am positively excited about. Look at these. We are going to have these for sale at the back of the sanctuary today, I believe. They are $25 each. My guess, tell me if I'm wrong, is that we can take cash or you can probably scan a QR code or go on the website. Okay, great. And we're taking orders. We are taking orders now is what we do. So do they need to have the money today? No, all right. Today you are just making an order. They are gorgeous and they will proclaim your belief in the humanity of LGBTQ people while also showing your love for Church of the River. Oh, I have always loved Easter. Anybody else? Always. From the time I was very little, it's been one of my favorite holidays. You may remember that I was raised Southern Baptist, so I had a lot of Easters. I have adorable pictures of me in more frills and flounces than you would think would fit on one toddler. I also have a picture of me sitting with a horrifying giant Easter bunny. I mean, this guy was true nightmare fodder. And I even have a picture of me stuffing an entire deviled egg in my mouth and then using the white of it as my teeth. TMI, right? My favorite Easter hymn was one that I was so certain that these were the words. Up from the gravy, he arose. Gravy is my favorite flavor, so of course that song got a thumbs up from me too. Truly, I've always loved Easter. What's not to love? Family, Easter egg hunts, potlucks, flowers, bunnies, church, pretty dresses, renewal, spring. Oh. As I grew up, though, the pretty pastel palace of Easter and all they told me that it meant began to crumble a little. Like a lot of you, I discovered that I was super down with the teachings of Jesus, but not so down with a lot of the technicalities. In seminary, I learned that the original Gospel of Mark, which scholars believe was the first to be written and a model for at least two of the others, originally the story ended with the women finding an empty tomb and fleeing in fear. That's it. No resurrection, no miracle, just a prophet who was murdered by empire and whose body was taken from the tomb. Now, the narrative of Easter in Christian churches is often the he is risen story, and it's a good story, but it is a story of miracles and bringing that which was dead back to life. But what if the story is less of a miracle and more of a story of a movement? The truth is, the story of Jesus was one of a progressive and prophetic brown-skinned leader murdered by empire. He was executed for his words like, love your enemy, sell all your things and give to the poor, and turn the other cheek. He was a radical and a rebel who called out greed and wealth and violence and hypocrisy and called upon us to live simply and love even those who revile us. Jesus taught that the most oppressed and marginalized were beloveds of God. When they killed Jesus, they were doing their best to kill his ideas, to kill the movement he stood for. But it was far too late. The seeds had been sown. His teachings and parables and stories had already taken root in hearts and minds. Now, we are talking all this month about seeding and planting. And in this story, we can think of Jesus as the gardener, planting the seeds, even though he did not live to see them blossom. The truth is, we do not have to believe that Jesus rose from the dead to recognize the movement that rose from his life. to see the garden that grew from the seeds he planted. My friends, some things can be killed, and others cannot. Empire can kill or imprison one person, one immigrant, one trans man, one woman who seeks out medical services, but empire cannot kill a movement. It cannot stop love. It cannot stop a people seeking justice and compassion. Not completely. As the poem in my second reading says, life rises. Outrage rises, love rises, hope rises, you rise. I've lived too long not to believe in real life miracles. Heck, we just witnessed one in our country recently when the Supreme Court issued a unanimous opinion about the unlawful imprisonment and deportation of Abrego Garcia. Unanimous. Change is possible. Stories of resurrection, of renewal and change that brings new life aren't only found in the Christian faith. In ancient Mesopotamia, the goddess Ishtar comes back to life each spring. In Greek stories, Persephone returns from the underworld. In Egyptian mythology, Osiris is resurrected to eternal life. Bodhidharma was a Buddhist sage who was seen walking, wearing one shoe after he died. His tomb, like Jesus's, was found empty, and there was only one shoe inside. Buddhist teachings say that even death could not contain the wisdom of the Bodhidharma. And in the pagan tradition of Ostara, which some say is an earlier model for Easter, and this is also a holy day that my family and I wrap into Easter, there's a story of change that I'd like to share with you. Late one spring, the goddess Ostara was in a hurry across the land, and she stumbled upon a small bird. The bird was shivering and half dead from the cold. Alarmed by the sight, Ostara refused to continue on her journey. She stopped and tried to warm the bird and bring it back to life, but it was too late. The bird was frozen and so laden with frost that its wings did not open, meaning it could no longer fly and would soon perish. Ostara did not turn her back on that flightless bird. Instead, she transformed him into a hare, a rabbit, so that he could hop away and get warm in a burrow under the snow. Some versions of the story, and this is my favorite part, say that in gratitude, the hare continued his ability to lay eggs, or her ability to lay eggs, giving colorful ones to please the goddess. And this, of course, is one of the many possible origin stories of the Easter Bunny. There's a reason so many of the world's cultures and faiths have stories of resurrection and revival, and why they are so often tied to spring. It's because of the truth shared in that poem I read. Life rises, hope rises, love rises. We see it every spring. We do not have to believe in the details of the big R resurrection to know that little r resurrection is always happening around us. Joy returns, change renews, hope rises. We are resurrected in life again and again. Resurrection, renewal, revival, these things are always possible, even in the midst of difficult, troubling change. And we feel that in our bones in the blossoming time of spring, when the dead returns to life year after year. Okay, that's the good news. But there's also some bad news. As the poem in the reading also says, crucifixion happens, and it feels like the end of the world every time. A lot of us are feeling that in this country right now. I want to tell you about what my oldest daughter and I are talking about right now when we talk to each other on the phone. Her name is Madeline, or Maddie. She's 26, lives in Philadelphia. Like a lot of us, probably like some of you, Maddie is worried about staying in the U.S. under the current administration. She is sending me videos and articles and is researching the best places to immigrate to if things begin to get even worse. She also wants us to have an emergency exit plan, especially living in the South. My wife is trans, and my daughters are both queer, so I understand her fears. I share them. I have learned to listen to Maddie. It's been a hard lesson, but I've learned it. She's one of my best teachers and one of the smartest people I know. So yes, I do have an emergency exit plan, and yes, I am researching Canadian UU churches. After all, crucifixion happens. But I have to admit, I still believe in the work of resistance and rebellion and planting seeds of love and change. And I know that you cannot easily kill an entire movement. I do not think that it is hyperbolic to say that our current empire is trying to crucify some of our dearest freedoms and values in this country right now. And some of our most vulnerable citizens are the ones that they are currently building the crosses for. But I want to be like Ostara, who refused to continue her journey without stopping to tend to the dying bird. I want to stay. I hope to stay. To be part of the movement that cannot be killed. I want to be part of our love at the center faith that will not be brought down easily. Crucifixion and resurrection are a part of the cycle of this world. That's just fact. In our own lives, too, we can see this pattern. Trouble and change and misfortune happens. We are torn down. We will be torn down. We are bruised beyond compare. Life comes at us fast, and none of us is safe from the forces of chaos and change. Sometimes we are like that bird in the story of Ostara, shivering on the ground, half dead, feeling beyond hope. But resurrection is always possible. Even as one part of us dies, new growth is born. We sow the seeds of the future in our striving, in our growing pains, in our personal empty tomb moments. The dead don't rise, but we do. With intention and careful tending of the seeds we sow, we rise. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here, though. And I'm going to say, and I hope he wouldn't mind speaking for me speaking for him. I'm pretty sure that Jesus would not be entirely proud of how the garden he planted has been tended in the years after his death. And definitely not with the way a lot of Christians today are practicing or not practicing his teachings. The rise of white Christian nationalism would sadden him that his message had been so misunderstood and abused. He planted the seeds. But of course, the thing we know about gardening, gardeners in the room, raise your hands, lots of us. The thing we know is that you have to water, you have to give them nutrients and good soil and sun, and you've even got to pick out the hornworms, and you've got to watch for blight. Jesus didn't get to do that kind of caretaking of his movement, but we can. What we're feeling in this country right now, what you're probably feeling at some point in your week right now, is the rise of empire. When immigrants are threatened with deportations and torture in foreign prisons, that's empire. When a professor gets an email demanding that they take their pronouns off of their email signature, that is empire. When libraries can no longer feature books like mine that tell the stories of our real lived history, That's empire. When diversity, equity, and inclusion are talked of as evil or illegal, that's empire. When the government strips away protections and rights and targets brown-skinned prophets for speaking their truth, that, oh yes, that is empire. When leaders refuse to follow laws meant to preserve democracy, yep, that's definitely empire. Gosh, it's a good thing that empire cannot kill entire movements, isn't it? Because that is what is rising this Easter. We are all gardeners of our future, sowing seeds of change and love and hope, and it is our responsibility, yes, responsibility, to be mindful of what we sow and how we care for our tomorrow. Our work is love. Our work is to be the movement of love that empire can't kill. Now, if you aren't sure how to do that, that's okay. Talk to those who already are doing the work and partner with them. To carry the gardening metaphor even further, we have people in this church already who are elbow deep in the soil, gardening like their life depends on it. You know who you are. Master gardeners, shall we call them. We can all learn from them. Each one of us, even if we are gardening newbies, can do our part in resisting empire. If you need help knowing how or what to do, talk to the master gardeners. Talk to me, talk to Reverend Sam, talk to Jane, talk to anyone here that you think might have ideas for you. Together we are stronger and smarter. Together we can work better and smarter. Just seeding one small act of resistance, one small act of revolutionary love, done over and over by a lot of us, that, my friends, is a movement rising. Now, I want you to join me in something very hokey. I asked the choir to sing that song for us for our anthem because it's one of my favorite childhood songs, and it feels really appropriate now. Now, we're not going to sing the whole song, but I want you to sing just a couple of lines of it with me, and I'm gonna sing it for you first. It goes like this. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Can you do that with me? Let's go. Ready? Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. An old gardening friend of mine, when we would sing that song, he used to say, "I'll be the rake, you be the hoe." Look, I still love Easter. I still love the story of the empty tomb and the hope of new life. I love the flowers and the bunnies, and I will never miss an Easter egg hunt if I can help it. Heck, I even tried to convince James to sing "Up from the Gravy He Arose" as one of the hymns today. But for some reason, he didn't love the idea. But now my love for Easter is layered with my belief in us and in the hope of the little r resurrection. Death and chaos and the forces of empire can do a lot, but it can't kill an entire movement. I've seen and lived through too many miracles not to believe that. Life rises, love rises, hope rises, we rise. So may it be, so may we become.
Springtime is upon
I invite you to rise in body or spirit for singing hymn number 290, Bring, O Pass, Your Honor. Beloveds, as you go through this week, know that change will come. Chaos will come. Crucifixion happens. But it is our charge to rise anyway, to garden anyway. Sow the seeds of love, be the seeds of change. Go in peace. Amen.